Well, look who's back and lives alone. Me and the chief were just talking about you at the wind, you know. Come think of it, wait here. I'll go get up. It's resting, but he wanted to speak to you. Something about Hullbreaker. Glad to see you back. Every time I hear your name, I'm reminded that you helped me establish the car program. Oh my god, you did me a great favor. Though the rumors of my misread treasure soon died down, I could not abide the thought of having the heart picked up by vultures. So I petitioned the Admiral to sanction the establishment of a camp on the island for the promise of hosting training exercises. I reasoned that the place was remote enough to give our recruits a proper taste of combat. But the truth be told, with the admiration duties asked for them, I'm worried about our finest going soft. Bearing with your comrades did keep rust from your blade, but it won't stop it going dull. That being the case, I might ask you to help it a little sharper. Exercise remind them it feels like to be in a real fighter. The chief was hoping you might run into the Maelstrom training gauntlet and give the orderly to go over. Nothing too rough, like just a few missing teeth in an old carrot. Assuming you're willing to come and find me at the Morbid Dock. When you're ready, I'll arrange to pass the helper for you and your mates. Ever since we took a rocket to be a part of our job to keep an eye on the sky. When the misty main docks keeps in, there ain't no way anyway, and it can't be. So sure, I have to stay here and watch the weather, but I'll be listening to every word of it. Thank you for agreeing to do this. By the way, I have a fabled hero to yourself to go through the same regimen. Alright, the weather seems to be behaving now, so let me know when. Please, give me time. Give them. Oh, it's her! Easy. Yay! Oh, how was it? Did you give them the height of your lives or what? Come on. Patience, lad. All the lumps and nose are little. and his comrades carve their way through beast and man with the cutter. Not even visit the silence of krakens could slow their pirates turned up at a thrill. What in the seven hells did they want? Why did they civic duty, of course? They invited themselves as a member of the Black Sailing Team. We forgetting that the pirates' powers were still beyond the Nostrum by the Gallian Accord. Of course, they never aimed to take part in our exercise. We've long since stopped asking. As for why they chose to grace this one, I reckon word out that the War of Light will be facing our finest and they fancy a go themselves. I'll sound racist, I admit it. We wanted to see if the old cutthroats could still hold their own in their right. Bargain your pardon, Chief, but are you all right? You look a bit sore, don't tell me you. I deemed it good for morale, but I did not come here to speak of that. The Maelstrom is gratefully for your participation. May we count a friend till a cease follows a good. Yeah, you. Must have woken the spirit. I thought he's a spry back then. I hope you didn't give him too much of a beating. Legend like Misper never get old, but Chief, well, he's just a man. So let's keep this little chat between ourselves. We're good to see you again. I might do another dungeon if I feel gracious enough. I'm waiting to return. You see, after you've helped through the end of the Greatness of War, we have strived to rebuild the city. Thanks to the assistance of countless craftsmen, our efforts to restore the firmament is going to continue. But the house was not assembled a team of the masons so skilled and efficient that they were able to finish structure the entire quarter. Its name is Empyreum. It is created to serve as a resident district for the venture kingdom. No amount of description between the two, so I've asked some butcher there that you might see for yourself. You get out in the it's serious. Perhaps you're interested in Empyreum also. For now, the hero will surely be happy to answer the question. About time! Ah, finally. I want to explore this area, but welcome to the Empyreum. As restoration efforts progress, the adventure expanded to the Tentacles of Heaven. You are indeed a countless adventurers such as yourself would bring to an end of the Dragon's As a things, we wish to provide you a space. Of course, we will still require no feed, nominal feed for any land. But know that your guild will help us if you would like to learn more. Be the essential caretaker for this. Man, this let's do it on this level. of the large-scale reconstruction aimed to revisit the holy city has been ignored. Selected as a principle of firmament which means the result of those who are skilled and gathered from the land. It will not be of interest. Oh, friends, this calls out Firmament. Wait, I know you. You're the Savior Riskard. Are you saying that you will contribute to a feeble hero as you would help to rebuild our city? The grief between one trifling matter. Do you, perchance, possess a work permit? It is a requirement. No. That's so. As I recall, the war of House Fortunes in which the case perhaps an exception can be made. Alas, I don't have the authority to make such a decision. Well, I do. I believe the permit can be able to witness. You should be gracious again. Greetings, my friend. It's been quite a while indeed. I should be surprised if you haven't forgotten me. I have had persistent little opportunity to return to the Holy See. It shall be a pleasure to introduce myself. I am Franz, the youngest son of the House of Hilaire. You delivered me the most dire predicament once. I feel HO that you and Lord Horsford saved me from a historic fate. You have proven you're worthy to me. Even so, little did I expect that you will go to save the island. You're a hero to us all, and my words could express my gratitude. Only though actions could I begin to repay you. Dead. Thus, I resolved to do my part each day, that I might honor those noble souls who risked their lives and limbs for shit, both such as you and Lord Horsford. And you were to oversee it with the restoration project. I forth my candidacy as representative of the house. Our workshop and engineers could do everything. There was no means unanimous, but the Fury saw it to be elected to the office. Honored am I for the opportunity to serve the nation, to redeem house and its good name. Owing to the contribution of artisans hailing from far and wide, we have accomplished our goal in rebuilding the district. However, we are still short-handed in the area of administration, on the account of which I have been performing such odd tasks as I could, which is what brings me here today. As a matter of fact, I am about to go and survey our citizens in order to learn about the condition of the firmament. If you could spare a moment, I have a pleasure of your company. Well traveled as you are, your opinion would be great interest, and I believe folk would be more willing to share their thoughts with you. You have my gratitude. Without further ado, let us take ourselves the jeweled course. We are bound to bring new the survey may take some time. Hey! Hilda, what's up? Well, I come here to get some price for the watch, and what should I find but a familiar face? And it ain't that a pretty lad you got with you, and a highborn one besides. You've done well for yourself. I'm teasing it all. Any road. It's good to see you, my friend. What brings you here? Lady Hilda, your petition precedes you. As you may be aware of approval, we are recently passed with the restoration of Firmament in order to build a district that best serves the residents. We know what good citizens is your vision for it. Will you not share with your thoughts? You're the one they suppose appointed overseer. Well then, you won't mind if I speak freely. Now, this ain't hardly revolutionary, but I want the firmament to be a place where we can make an honest living, where if a man works hard enough, he can have a roof over his head and food in his belly. Might be the war is over, but for a lot of us who struggle continuously to move forward, the sort of struggle blue bloods will never know. Remember, Ishgard does not belong only to the high and the holy now. If the nation was to prosper, all our sins. You must be a coin. But if you need of guards, feel free to send word. If the coin's fair, I reckon we can come to an arrangement. Oh, it's you. Oh, that's Lord Brilliant. I've heard that he was traveling in a rebel capacity as an consultant inspector, but it appears he's returned to Ishgard. Like your good self, he is a traveling individual. I should like to inquire if he's... Oh, it's this free. If it isn't, then I expect to see you as busy as you have supposedly been. Oh, brilliant. I pleasure to make a question. I am friends of him, and I am the honor of overseeing the reconstruction of the firmament. If it is known that you are intimately familiar with the states of Eorzea, I should be much obliged for your insight. In your expectation, what is the one thing you believe that the firmament needs most? This district is to thrive, then it must have a thriving economy. As I have often observed in my travels, the flow of goods and people is the livelihood of the city and should be encouraged. Ishgard has not been insular, but the recent changes present a good opportunity. Given the right plan, I really hope that ours may become a nation where no citizen lives in want. I bid you the very best in your endeavors, but should you have need of my invested powers, do not hesitate to call upon me by your leave. Oh yeah. Hey Manuel. Wondering if you noticed me. Ever a pleasure to see you. If it isn't, my dear Lord Francois, how fares your lovely sister? As she If Lania has spoken to you, I fear it may not be in our conversation. If by chance, Lord, will you be heard of the restoration firm has been committed? Is there aught that you envision for the district? Well, I envision, I can't say I've given it thought. But with the war finally coming to an end, what is in order it not festival? Yes, make the firmament into a festive place. It's a place where one and all may engage revelry. My Lord, I believe our friends seek something more specific, as I would say, constructive. No, the advice comes from the heart. I shall take it to heart. You have my gratitude, Manuel. Always a pleasure to aid a fellow man. Now then, we must be on our way. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Oh Lord Francis, do send my fondest regards to your sister. Tell her how very helpful I was. I dare say we've spoken to enough people. Shall we conclude the survey? Thanks for your presence. You were here to express a very opinion. Each one has merit. The question is just been telling you, I must have faith in trying my hardest best. Now then, for all affirmers who haven't seen, I will be there for Whitehead. So please join me in the election. Oh, and when you see a man, you mind giving him this. The bone work standing here. If there is a little something to keep him warm. I could easily hand it to him, to be sure, but it would be all the more warming coming from the Savior Ishgard. With that, I shall go ahead. Testing. Alright. I was weird. And I'm touched by everyone. Thank you. And then I believe my lower version is fixed. You're welcome to the... The rebuilding itself is complete. This is the beginning, however. We must now turn attention to the... Speaking of what was spoken, I want to take the firmament into a vibrant district, where highborns and lowborns miss. Yet I would be lying if there's a limit to what I can achieve, especially given the house. What time? Count Edmund. What we owe the honor. Lest you forget I am the Count de Temps, no more, Mr. Retired Old Man. As for the presence here, Emmanuel reported that Marina was in Ishgard, and I thought I would make a short call. You will forgive me for my eavesdropping. It seems that the reconstruction project is not immune to the certainty that as a company our nation. I've given understanding that our nations have established residential district for adventurous use. Is this true? I should like to pay you a visit. While restriction is worth but may go some way towards closing the gulf, it shall not lead to true independence for the masses. We have asked ourselves in a new age which we will live in. What role should each of us play? Upon this dilemma, I believe that we may draw inspiration from adventurers and their independent lives. If we were to translate them into the firmament, might it not assume the form of a self-administration? It seems you have found a spark, in which case old man Ramley has served their purpose. I shall pray for your success, Lord Franz. Your words are as a beacon in the dark, my lord. Thank you. You seem to be occupied, Princess. I'll leave it to your task. But when next we meet, I hope to be regaled by your recent adventure. As ever, our Fortem's manor is at your disposal should you need a rest. I'm itching to meet your hero friend. Forgive me for the wait. Mr. Augment, a formerly an engineer of the house, now serves as a project into the leadership that I'll be able to focus my energies on administrative. First you saved the whole bleeding nation, now you're helping us rebuild brick by brick. What can I expect? It's great to have you on board. If you have any questions about the work, I'd be happy to field them. Just say the tedious stuff like a budget of friends. Speaking of which, if you can spare a moment, I should like to consult you with the management. For all that little task demanding my time, I cannot always be present on site, but I endeavor to visit as often as possible. I hope to see you often too. Looking at Experiment. An option has been added to teleport here. Learn more how you can contribute. I want you to newcomer. I reckon it hurts even if it gives in from time to time. We will keep record of progress. Let's work up this up. My main thing we need help. I reckon it's quicker to support than over there. Right? You will be helping us. Though the reconstruction effort itself is complete, you remain in an area supply for me. Items you donate will be put to rebuilding aspects repair, as well as provide necessary items you wish to donate can be brought to myself. Feel free to ask. Actually, you'll be rewarded for the contribution depending on the item you present to me. I should mention that we introduced an initiative to provide. This shift takes form of game chances to go fortune. Once you push the 5 step, you'll be taking a voucher register. If you wish to know more, I recommend. Assistant in Kubo, and I'm afraid I cannot assist you. But if you're interested in Kubo fortune, you've come to the right place. If you please, I shall assist you once. Upon each Kupo card, there will be 4 hexagons, each depicting a treasure chest provided to us. Playing this up, you scratch, open chest of your choice. If the chest holds something from first 4 plus, the fabulous item yours. But be sure, if yours is being happening, with your griffin instead, you must console yourself with a consolation prize. Now that's something important. The chest on the left only holds 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, meaning while you can't win first, but neither is there a danger. The 3 chests on the right, meanwhile, can hold any of the 4 prizes as well as the griffin. Meanwhile, while you have a chance to reap the rich reward, you may walk away with paltry prize, which side as the prize offers change each time you play. Be sure to cast your eye over the if you wish. From the sky. Lord, you honor us with your presence. Now you may have heard of the contribution because earners of Skybracelet may be brought here in exchange for a selection of wares. We endeavor to expand the range and items offered. We might continue to attract contributions even now as our reconstruction efforts itself has been completed. Aside from the donation item, you may also earn scripts that have you been informed of these? If not, Papa will be able to furnish you with participants. Meanwhile, I shall look forward to many. Remind your employees of the benefits of restoration. It shall be my pleasure to provide you with an explanation of your work. As you doubtless are aware, the firmament reconstruction demands very mountain material. In order to meet this need, it is indeed that we may harness able to gather such as a good may venture forth for the isles to bring back materials. Given the nature of the isles, however, we must take certain materials found that shall be tainted, but we put them to use. Then we ask that you bring the items you've got to myself for inspection. Those items are deemed safe and will be returned to you with a seal of approval. Lest you wonder, yes, fish are also subject for inspection. But your puzzled expression, I assume you. The fish that inhabit the den are known for consuming materials, which we determine whether the creature holds resources in its belly. One that is confirmed, you may help yourself to a bounty which your initiative done. We offer sky building scripts. The more all material you find yours will with you as you please. Whether you choose items, they will ultimately benefit your construction. If you mind, travel to Datum. For your endeavor, pray represent yourself to Lord Arvo. You're welcome. I take it that you receive an overview of the part of the restoration effort. It shall be my pleasure to apprise you on all the details. If you are doubtfully aware that Datum is a land where Aether is in a complex life, this phenomenon gives rise to an ever-changing environment. If there has been one contact, it is the isle that has deemed salvaged creatures. Yet, I recently journeyed there to investigate the change of the Aether, which I find but the population of dangerous fauna has markedly decreased. Never has it been easier to avail ourselves of dangerous fauna. Seeing the potential for the development to benefit Ishgard, I presented this discovery to the nation of P, who wasted no time in designating the isle as an official foraging ground for the restoration project. Now we seek those versed in the field, affording travel there. They don't leave a resource. Lest you will not worry about picking up and catching a fish on. Provide poor protection against this creature that lurk in the isles. Therefore, we have measures to keep our running safe. Behold, conceived by none other than the Lord Stephian, this ancient contraption is a marvel of personal. If you know this isle of Daemon are repelled at Aether, the auger cuddy absorbs as if you were but forging. Once you have sufficient Aether, you can unleash a compress blast of a habit. This pestilential creature is now bounty of resources. There you have it. Armed with the auger, we ask that you gather and bring back resources. The think of the little brother of creation should benefit my venture, which in turn is aid for effort. All of the benefits are proud, and I call myself come my friend, we have daily with our honor to glory yourself. Let us set. Is that what you said? But then, seek a formality. I am required to introduce you to someone. Behind you, across the kitchen, it stands as a little alien from a long eye. The man has a gift for numbers and is charged with your mind. Honest, you can do well with the speak with him. The threads of the fail entwined bind us together. Long have I waited one of such issue. Apology, but I am willing to become excited in the presence of a pure artisan. My name is Lorfa, and I have an honor of tallying my work. In order to accord the greatest recognition to the collaboration, we have begun to keep records of the contribution. The doing them is especially difficult to obtain the crab. You will be earn a reward. Now that the construction effort itself is over, you're shifted our focus to collecting essential items necessary for daily maintenance. Keep up. As such, I continue to tally accumulated scores with our star building. Pass the various point threshold, and it will be our pleasure to reward you with assortments of gifts as a token of thanks. Oh well. Should you wish to know the current score at any time, you'll only speak with me. If you wish to know more, I'll be happy to assist you. For the sake of the good harbor, may I trouble your first report package. I must in front here. If you need to review something, if you have a knack for organizer, reckon you ought to try with cheap armor. What they bound to the That's all for me now. I'll let you run along and let me just say this. Things like you will help us to ground you. Though you may be see me 10 years older father, I not that have pleasure to myself. I am his man Sarah. I would like to offer you my personal thanks for lending your aid in my lord. Yours is an inspiring present. Owing my collective effort of all involved, the new nest around here completed. Such a lord joy. 'Twas as if he was a young boy again. He now seeks to settle folks in the district and has personally reached out to those citizens who were displaced by the war and unrest. By the time I take it, the harbor has some concerns. Thanks to French's encouragement, some folks have already moved into the district, but many more are dragging their feet. To hear the talk, they are afraid that the rent was too expensive, or that they put themselves at the mercy of heartless nobles, and a whole host of other reasons. In order to encourage settlements, Firmament offers various incentives to residents, such as tax relief and employment incentives. Perhaps this knowledge has not been necessarily dismantled to the public. My thoughts exactly, but that he's late to return is because he's struggling to win folks over, I wager. On that road, I was wondering if you mind searching for him, see how he's faring. I too would be grateful with you if you look into my lord. You'll find him in the broom speaking with the residents, I believe. Why you don't wish to live in a firmament? What is it that worries you? You have come better time. You have heard that I am in the process of selling citizens in the firmament. Well, some are not packed up along quickly enough. Others are proving resistance. Yeah, as such, Ottoman here and her daughter know so well. Begging your pardon, but aren't you the savior of the land? It is an honor, my lord. We are grateful for the invitation we treated, but we couldn't possibly afford to live in a shiny new district. Even before our home in the broom was burned down, we were barely getting by. Besides, given who you are, we don't have the right. In my mind, firmness is for people such as they first and foremost, who have lost their homes in the fire's conflict. Yet, if they themselves do not wish it, I cannot well force them to move. Truly, that's the case. Perhaps it's not out of the question for us. Perhaps I should do it. Yes, not for myself, but then for my little girl. Alright, I have humbly accept. I can hear. Pray see your representative. Then come to the firmament when you are ready. Yes. All it took was a few words from you. You truly will sway over the people, my friend. Of course, such trust comes not overnight. It is the production of many selfless deeds. Despite being falsely accused of a crime driven to the end of the realm, you do not surrender to despair. On the contrary, you dedicate yourself to the plight of others, ultimately guiding our war-weary nation upon the path to peace. In some ways, we have walked similar paths, but my struggles are trifling things compared to yours. My name carries not the same weight, my words have not the same power over the hearts of my fellow men. But by the fury it takes me if I allow the restoration efforts to founder on account of my personal failings, the heart and happiness of the people are at stake. Therefore I ask, will you not aid me in the running of the firmament? With you beside me, I fear that there is no difficulty I cannot overcome. You need to answer this moment. Please. Without further ado, I will have you deliver the matter of submission. There are entries for cooperation. Ordinarily, I would make the deliverance myself, but I believe that the recipients would be pleased for your visit. One is Gilbert, property of the Forgotten Knight, and another is Sir Handelop of the Templar Knights. And last but not least is Mistress Elias. All you have is a test. I shall look into the audience. Her daughter. Let us. Mister from the young French. I can guess how he ended delivering it. Let's have a look. I pray that the missive minds you well. I am not bothered overnight, but the old wound. I write to regret you the efforts of the firmament, which you will most certainly be aware. Our late we have been leading to the market time and the number of workers on site. We're struggling to keep everyone fed. In order to alleviate the strain upon us, it is my hope that you will provide us with a hearty and a wholesome provender from your own. Always good to me right there. And I wouldn't refuse him. I'll arrange to have meals prepared and sent to him. You're involved in restoration then, but you can keep an eye on the lad for me, will you? Alright, we got the food. Okay. My thanks for the unflagged dedication to preserving the peace of the Holy See. I write to you as an overseer of the Firmament project. In order to officially increase the cooperation of the Temple Knights, the project needs for able hands. It is my hope that your order might be amenable to dispatching a contingent of engineers to assist in efforts. For the prosperity of our nation, I thank you from all. Though I have no authority to alone to decide, I for one should be glad were our orders to lend what help we may. I shall do my utmost to see that Lord French has engineered. Truth to tell, I have a personal interest in the firmament. Era is it was razed to the ground. Myself lived there. You see, many places of Ishkard offer a convenient view. It is no fine. What is it you seek? I pray that your missive finds you well in some order. I request that your aid in acquiring heavy machinery to afford me, intending to use of many foreigners lending their expertise to such equipment as the seal possess an unfamiliar and of non-Ishgardians, as well as would adversely affect the of the connection you have established with the foreign merchants. I have faith in you that you can procure for us which we require. My humble machine of the foreman, though it will be a small coup de source, but the merchant in me welcomes the challenge. But I say it feels like only yesterday that Lord French was a little boy coming to my market with his brother. Now he has blossomed into a well-spoken, accomplished man. Time surely flies. Forgive my remnants. You may rely to my lord that I shall pleasure to attend to his orders. Francis is eager to learn how his petition for aid received. Come, do not keep me waiting. What is the recipient response? The ladies are willing to guide me here. I know he now won't make promises out of hand, but I'm confident he may. This kind, I was able to personally assist with, and yet my daughter will. Having but few possessions, they were able to promptly move to Firmament. I also managed to find a moment of pen missive. Lest you wonder, these are addressed in the 4 high houses of my own. Each of the houses have strengths, and I shall avail of the protest. But for now, my petition from an upstart such as will be received, but it will does not depend on entirely you. The missive I shall deliver myself. Wait. There are people who have been waiting for an audience with my lord. It pains me to make such a request of you, but will you not consider constant serve an acting overseer and speak with the work? Grateful. I expected some advice from you, but I trusted you. Shall I call the petition in turn whenever you are ready? You need but a I will speak to him. With the knowledge and I see that you're ready to begin as soon. Lord Francis in here? Bah, what a waste of time. Now, sir, you mustn't say such things. You know the overseer is a busy man. Rara sends from the limbs, charged with impacting our teaching to the locals. Our apprentices have been making good progress, but we mind that knowledge time. But for this, we need special medicine that. We want to ask the overseer if we could have it brought in. True, that is good to hear. In case you're wondering, the machinery in question is made by Nalden. We have in details for you soon. We appreciate it if you could relay them to the people at the Jewel's Cosmos. Pardon, my lord, the critter came here and missed. Cinnamon, but refused to leave. It has been lingering in your kitchen, and I suspect it's hungry, thus it hasn't done any harm. But what do you suppose? I say I understand what you said, and it seems I have caught scent of something. I'll go and keep an eye on it. You're truly a common silent. Your friend Franzel said he was in a keep an eye on it. I was offering, so I keep. Seems he ain't here though, so our talk they'll have to keep. But there was something I want to tell you. Other I had occasion meeting Ceramic. He says yes, he wasn't been able to pay a progress to Firmament. He knows all about your involvement though. He was saying how grateful he was to you. As Lord Speaker of the House and private citizen both, and that's all for me. You see. You can never. I expect he returns. You're still here? While you've been absent, Lord has been acting in your stead. Attention us. Forgive me, in my ignorance, it appears I have unduly unburdened you with my duties. But by my own task, I am pleased to report that was not without fruit. We may have received promises of response from all households. Though it was March formally, I went in to secure support from the House Helenet. They paid a visit to the House of Fortem, which has been providing lodging to visiting. There I was given assurance that they will increase the capacity of the. Next, I knocked up the door of the manor, and as of house founded upon military tradition, I was informed that they will have little to offer to. I was about to take my leave, but the stroke of good fortune, Lord Janiquard appeared as a pledge to open a school where children might learn their letters, numbers, and stars. The astrologer ones. Last night is the House of Desmel, renowned for the architecture prowess. They need to employ their expertise for the. I understand you required with Lord Harrison, retired Count. With his skill and passion, I doubt not that he will prove a great such a cooperation for all high house, and not so long. This would have been unthinkable. But what is due to peace, we have now enjoyed tasks. It's never a happy ending. Scary Inquisitor, he came and took Mommy away. He hasn't done anything wrong, please. You fine, child. Let's see to now who is. Alright, what the hell is going on, everyone? I'm going to tell you, we are good, Dragon. I demand you let us enter at once. Me, Martha, please, my love, tell us pass. What? Can it truly be? What in the fairy's name is happening here? Without these two dragons attempting to enter the Holy See. The larger claims to be related to this woman, thus did I bring her hither to verify the truth. If this dragon is in fact a man, 'tis more likely that he is a heretic and must be a Kenan. Forgive me, Kaiser. Perhaps you were absent when my lord speaks made his declaration that light of the peace we have forged with dragons, that accursed of heresy are to be afforded fair hearing, and not punished out of hand. Be as it may, I would not allow. It would not do to allow them to formally in the whole. It is liable to cause a penance. As you say, yet we rush to pass judgment. We should allow the man to change to tell his tale. Martha, what is it? I beg you speak truthfully. Have you ever taken the life of him? No, my lord. Upon my honor, I have no such. I haven't so much as laid a claw on anyone. It's true, but I chose to follow Lady Arthur. It's true that I partook of dragon blood. Whether it's because of myself or of the blood, I can't say, but my transformation was long and painful. By the time I recovered, the war has already ended. In other words, I found I couldn't revert to my original form. I took to wandering aimlessly until I chanced encounter with Ale2 here, who encouraged me to return home. This man speaks true, then by our laws he's committed no crime. As he would simply believe the words of a dragon without any proof whatsoever. Within my care. If they should cause any trouble, I will personally accept responsibility. If you vouch for them, Lord Francis, then I shall not object. But pray that you will not come to regret your decision. Well, it appears we have a situation at hand for the time being. Forgive us, my lord. We didn't mean to involve you in any trouble. Don't mention it. I have a responsibility to the residents of the firmament. That you and your daughter are safe is that all that matters. Now we just need to decide what to do with our guest. Finish your bickering, you could start by showing me your city. Oh yes, I've dreamed of seeing it for a long time. I suppose there's no harm in that. If I would afford us the opportunity to discuss your situation further. Come with us to... Here's our present, Elsa. Though you are a guest, I trust you appreciate that your troubles are not yet over. Yours in particular, Martha. Though you are an Ishgardian, as heretic and both, you put your family in an extremely difficult position. As I speak further, what should you hear his thoughts on the matter? It is because our nation has changed that I admit this now. But I too once supported our vision. I couldn't well commit myself to her, though that would mean forsaking our family. But he did so anyway. He forsook us and led us to fend for ourselves, and look at him now. Worse still, he's brazen enough to show his face to Ishgard and runs afoul of inquisitors. If it weren't for my lord's intervention, we might have been executed there and then. I don't know. I don't think if I want to take him back. Please give us some time to think. Ooh. Just wanted to see you two again. You finally meet your family and all you can do is stammer and sulk. Have some stones and for heavens. But enough of it. I came here to see the city and I'm going to see one. But will you go and keep an eye on Altars? I've not had a chance to inform the residents and it will not. If you have my gratitude now, it seems you just headed to a new nest. It's seems men doesn't change very much as they grow. However, they become able to fly. No. Let's see, what is it? Gotta keep an eye on you. As I said, I wouldn't harm anyone. I have you know that my sire is Gullenburst of the noble line of Ratatoskr, and like our esteemed ancestor, I will fill this. Though we may not have met before, I know who you are. Oh yes, my sire has told me much about you. Now you may be wondering what events led me to believe you. I've been on a journey to learn the way of man. You see, the one I've met more interested in school. I might have been alive if though our kind have met to be at peace. Not all men are ready to accept you. Though I've soon not be caught being unfriendly met. So I would while we're gone, I took it upon opportunity to inform the residents about our guest, while all not understanding the situation whether they accepted it. Please wait with my son. The dragon Infirma, it appears the rumors were true. One of them nearly killed me in the war, tore my... oh, here we go again. Tore me open with his back, and they saw the larger one used to be a man, but the mere sight of him, it makes the scar ache. And my daughter, she was murdered by one of those wretched heretics. It's easy to say that we're in peace now, but it's not easy to forget. I too lost a dear brother to him. Believe me when I say I understand that some wounds do not heal. I will not force you to accept him, yet despite his appearance. He is but another Ishgard and no different from ourselves. I ask that you would hold your judgment for a time, that you would give him a chance. Then very well, my lord. Nice words. friends. Seeing her presence brings only pain. Come now. There is not a single soul in the nation who hasn't known suffering. You know least of all, my friend. If you're willing, I will share with you how you came to be a heretic. Sometimes in your tale, you may find a key for winning over doubters. Come on, tell us your tale. I'm certain I used to be a craftsman making sound necessary on request. If it wasn't much, it was a living for me and my family. When our home burned down, I took repairing other people's belongings in exchange for scarce of food. Then it was necessary to keep us from starving, knowing that mouthful earned meant less for our fellows. The unfairness of it all was too much to bear. So I cast a lot with Lady Highhearted, with dreams of making lives better for my common folk. In the end, after all I succeeded in doing was forsaking my loved ones. I would make amends to my family if they will let me. As I am now, I am not but a burden to them. Last thing I wish to be. I see. My thanks for opening. Yes. It is my father said, men tend to overthink things. Perhaps only is made to think more when that may be, but it makes our feelings no less true for it. So feels the keenest regret. One day, one born of the love he bears his family. If his fellow guardians cannot that you were once a craftsman. If you were to make the people at Adam as a needful as you once did, I dare say you could have expressed your work, but very well. I'll try my best. I'm certain you will. Now, as for the items you craft, I believe your best known things will delight your wife and child. My question is, what may serve to we recently moved to the firmament with the sun, and they arrived with naught but a shirt on their back. I imagine they would need to household items that there is a younger fellow with a retired whose scars trouble him. He might appreciate an unarranged some description. I believe so, my lord. Come in, this, Worma. You do a pray covenant. I've taken the liberty of securing one in that you can space all the fine of yours. Now it's alright. My trouble you to obtain two. One is a healing herb and an augment, the other is dye. I would go and obtain it myself, but the library will cost him. M is too small enough to remain inconspicuous. At least I can. Of course I would be happy to help. You may... I'm gonna ask you that. There's 2 pots of green meal I require. It matters whether you purchase it. All I wish to know is I heard that one woman in Ella, a merchant, used the metal. This is it. One different thanks to you, the present probably will be now I believe it's time to get ready. area top on the step should. Would you be so kind as to bear word with people? Perhaps you should like to be the one to seek out Mistress Marina. I dare say she. Just like he did. Even though he's my husband, the decision to accept it is too much for mere commerce. But when I think about my daughter, I imagine how other children might mock her now. I do, but your words give me courage. Simply talk with still a sense of hope. Knowing that you are decent folks such as yourself, Lord Fronzel around, I feel though all will be anyway. Alright? We'll be here. No lie, we're here to say. With this, we're told that Lady Front has summoned us, but you're... Oh, I don't really sure that's like you. I'm also a craftsman and will help some of my friends, but I've made something for each of you. There's much but basic. It's gonna be useful. I hope they'll serve you well. If you struggle to believe it, but I used to be your neighbor before I took on this form. I made whatever it was folk needed, and it's my hope that I can put my skills to use again. The scars flares up on a cold. This unguent should take the edge off the pain. It's kind of you. You're so open-minded. I know that you've done no ill, but I can't simply forget. You forgot Alexia, but we would not diminish your suffering by asking you to change your view. Yet, in spite of yourself, might you not try to see the individual before you simply that individual and deserve a chance? I'm sorry. I know I'm not being fair. Come. You would not strain yourself. If you would follow me, good sir, I have found some refreshments. I have something for you too as well. These are clothes. Let's put them on, Mom. Alright. Oh, very bright. It's exactly the same as the one I lost in the fire. You remember, Daddy? You remember how much I love this coat and this color? You may be a dragon now, but I don't mind at all. My friend Nissa said that dragons are nice. It must be difficult to make these with those hands. It's plain that you still think of us. Yet you abandoned us when you would need us most. You left us to face the worst of the war alone, and I hated you for it. And so... I know. What I did was unforgivable, and I don't have the right to be with you and know. I'll leave this place for good and all. Listen to the end, will you? What I want to say is, I can't give you the definite answer at this moment, but I'm willing to give us another chance. If you're still the man I once knew, then perhaps we can work through the problems together, like we worked through others. If this is enough for you for now, then you're welcome at our new home. It is. It is more than I could ever ask. Thank you, Ade. Thank you again, my lord, for instilling me with the courage to take the first step. Forgiveness won't come overnight. We still have a long journey ahead of us. But if we have faith in one another, I'm confident that we'll find happiness again. If you could spare another moment, would you accompany me to find our friends? I wish to thank him for both the chance I have with my loved one. Herb's friends told me to hold the fort. Because I want to thank you and the elder gentleman with the peace upon his face. I dare hope that there you are. Only all. I'm glad for you, my friend, and your honest feelings have reached the hearts of people. Yes, my lord, I have given another chance with my family. I owe it all to you, and that is hardly enough to express my gratitude, but I've made something for you, and I necessary, but I shall humbly accept a moment, if you would. Ooh, new clothing. It's a perfect face, just a dashing design besides. My thanks. Where's my gift? Without me, Martha would still be slumbering and sulking in the snow somewhere. Let's not forget the herb as well. For rendering aid to the citizens of Israel, you're deserving of recognition. So now dragons have been permitted to entry to the Holy See only on a special occasion. But if you wish it, my authority oversee, I shall arrange it so that you may freely come and go. I can live with that. I always wanted to observe how men live. And then I must be returned to my duty. If there is anything further trouble, do not hesitate. Last but not least, allow me to thank you. If it weren't for you, I likely wouldn't have been executed as a heretic. Worse than that, I would have remained. Please accept this small token of gratitude. I pray it was served. You've come to time. I have a query for you. As you know, the looter of Rathasko is likely to wish to fill this. To do, I would know the historical events. I would like a great person to end it. You're the good person. All this time, the hero was your name. In that case, I make this something. I want you to show me the key place where the fourth where the Francis permission is going to. Dude, let's go. You have been pushed. There's a small part of effort. Fickler is proud to say that we have spared no effort in referring Lady Hilda's ideal of what we can do. They provided a working hard and firmly, I have decided to turn an eye at recommendation, encouraging the flow of all goods and service so as to build a thriving economy that will serve as his men have been hard working putting a final touch to the border. I have built Featherfall, which is to serve the firmament commences trade. Anyway, we distinguish our own marketplace at the Jewel Rosia. The world to attract vendors is accustomed to the argument that we must offer something. If we were to bring the merchants only here, afraid that Featherfall might be the holy city. It is most a supplier idea that we jump. If you were not to disapprove, I would ask you to accompany me for a distant embassy to the 3 states. After all, who better? If you not disapprove, but for whatever reason, I would account the wish to come to a humble expedition, particularly in the light of the honored housefather. In the interest of the Lord of France, I have always acted in what I believe in. Do not give the warrant welcome to outsiders. That we took only the necessary precautions to defend us from external threats of the time war. Surely the savior of Ishkar. Though omniscient in this age, I am not inclined to sit idly by the in time. Yet the most vital interest, my son and heir remain young or unworthily the task, so it falls to me. Well, with the negotiations you attend to Kenan, they can be used to aid in the presence of the head of. I wish I would not idiot. Of course not, we are part ones. I heard Gradana is lovely at this time of year. The attention will always have been a close neighbor. I have the good word established known as I do take care of like behind. How long? 12 here. Should be someone to. It's just we've been here and me. And ever since we witnessed about the horrible that we've been admirers of yours, and we've been taking on one of the comrades going to fray at the steps of faith, but then we meet you and get in combat and no arresting. Then it was sent into the war, owing to which our friends they're welcome to ignorance, regardless or to our Perhaps even the comrades will come to pay a visit. Happen to see it? Elephant, which is said pretty much, but adventurers can tell each other. Please, I need your assistance. As you know, there is an orphanage in that New Master Rope. Hold it. Please. I can't bear the thought of somebody. Jesus. Yeah. Was there a fire here? First, right then. Well, that was worth it. I don't blame the folk. Not exactly the sort of you see walking in an orphanage. It was. We used to be temple knights. We were here when the horde descended on the steps of fate. We all took wounds that forced us to hang up our shields. We're grateful to still be alive, though. We have you to thank for it. We help retired soldiers to find work and look for around everyone. Truth be told, at first we thought it would be a bad jest when they see we didn't care children. After all, we are knights, not nursemaids. We didn't feel equal to the task. Let's look after make tasty food. We're grateful to you all. Seem happy, and here we are. We ensure that citizens that our children are no danger. You're leaving already? Please come. Oh. Three of us were all the things in orphanage. We know that our care is a bit too much, but we want to do something that eases the burden, but we don't know what. You don't have any ideas? The best way to help is to earn the dangerous. It's better to find work in here in the district, mining other people. You're always already my deal. Why, if you had Islamic rebel, you can just stay here. I'll go. Leave. Do I tell you? Why can't we just do we can issue your trademark leaves instead. You can never have it. And now the convictors have need of firewood and rope. By the way, they offer not only cooking but especially caught up games as well. Yeah. Rest, Quest. The other will be so happy. Let's get to work. What? In the firmament, there's a man named Arcad. He sells the source material. He tells us. No. Salvage material left over. Construction cheap. Craftsman here. Well then, here comes. We're trying to do a part. Oh, I see. Dragons we live. But the same token, it feels anyway. Lost some of the spirit we may have lost the strength and forged on. More from you. Busy. Matter. Mix of I think I have probably on the nest. I'm well. Got first. It's the first outing altogether. Let's capture the creature. This. Yeah. There's much of that, but if you mean ill. Hey, it's death time! Not bad. Give me the firmer work if. Please tell me that the I post not. Yeah, it's my homie, don't worry. One of the fats who have dwelled. Please forgive me. No harm is done. It's all settled, now take my leave. Where's the Ishkar for the win? There we go. I'll just stay here for a while and I'll pass everything. To shrine, for example. I've seen this out. I feel it's such a particular way of life. Still, you cannot be faulted for your artistry. The grounded look, the scent of sadness clings to it. Wherever there's a tragedy, our hearts can't help but be drawn to it. We know that we have been followed. I know this person intent. Let us return to. I feel as I. Songs are. Oh, if you meet harmless. Ever since I the slightest idea how to go about. Dream to become a writer, not just any writer. No age of peace and allow me to assist you. Now, you're very commendable. I heartily approve of your, and I see no restriction. Yes, you can teach each other the way. Thank you. And speak further without your. With dark gloom and scarce imagine. I'm glad I don't have to. I will list the servers of I did some research for the comments by Reed Guardian. Oh, I fear account for all who picture my habits sour horrible form. Research finds as a person. A habit that was here. Do it yourself. But we are the good man, just as I for once outside of here. In the world, our house. Or reveal no special purpose. Perhaps it'll be behoove. Let us try another location. Perhaps one of the guilds. now. There's a war, pal. There were few things destroyed, more strangers. I remember being in a warm moment you could get it's a memory. They say it was made. Man, I had hoped to return to. Even now, I find it hard to believe. As they go by, I don't think of again. And then the kind of thing. Though I spoke forevermore in his passing, I take solace in knowing that it was not for people of those like Kenan here. The war is long last over, and our nation welcome. It is we became hope to establish a trade that benefits both nations and traders. Perhaps you heard of him, Santa? Yeah, the baby in charge here. It was God himself sent you here. If she does not mind our permission, if you get to that hurt so much. The Black Chain Fragment. I have the privilege of overseeing the first. And I wish to fight the realm, establish outposts and kill Kenan. Happy. The Guardians opened the borders, but quite frankly, I was expecting to. And I'll grant you that. Still, as much as I like to be, I run a business, not charity. So I always ask, why should I expend this card? But be assured that our nation offers this. Good coming in the hype. Why? I heard you miss. Do us kindness, and that we will. Send me the fireworks, you know. We'll have to take a full inventory to determine whether they'll find us. Seriously, not smile on. much, my friend. I can never. A couple. You see, for the fight in the bottom of the house. Citizens of the facilitate are far more learning. Now, I'll show you how to. They call it that is the busing center of train. I've been found that the Sultanate faces the important status of the unlike the rabbits here, people will no doubt the market is my purpose of as you know the exchange have quite been also from the Hershey. If I would ever still it's not a good thing. These girls dressed only to undergarment. No shame. And the uncles gawking at them are no better. I was led to believe this was a cultural society. The array of wares is respectable, I'll allow. But I'm more interested in dealing with incredible peddlers. Let us find ourselves a But how in the furious name do people survive in the stifling heat? I shall go and secure a business property. The sooner take my leave of this blasted desert. You two may wait for me at the alien house or the like, but do not make yourself overly comfort. You once more. Would you be so kind as to go after him? Roger Press, I fear that he may less endear himself to a local, unlike a good. Do the counselor has, shall we say? You there, you know something of these parts. I seek to do business with the trader possessed of the reputation worthy of the great house. You were introduced be more than pleased. How much is this expression worth? You would demand payment for your revealing knowledge? You don't know how things work on here, you old man. All that information commanded like any other. Any bloke only gets as much as he's willing to pay for. Only the knowledge I've got is worth something to you, else you wouldn't be standing here before me. So we'll return to question. How heavy is the boy? I have no idea who you are. Wait, Emmanuel? Well met, my friend. Would you fare this fine day? If it ain't my favorite Ishgard and come to pick old wild man's head about the latest happening here in the Sultanate. Of course, I'm happy to oblige. Thanks for whispers you heard around the Holy See. I know this. Oh, thank you for the Double follow? Let's see, who followed me? Oh, one follow. Why did I put it twice? Mega me. Thank you for the follow. Any other day I would have gladly truly returned to humor. To you. Today, however, I was meant only to offer a warning. That man and none other is Lord of the highest of that high house. He breathed glitter into it and substance upon machinery. And believe me when I say, we do not wish to make an enemy of him. Do not take my word for it. Just ask. At second thought, don't bother taking out for whatever you're offering. It's more than clear I ain't worth the trouble, and now you don't mind. Listen, if you say so myself, and worry not, I shall return before along with the rumors of the Holy See. See you at so desire. Next time, my friend. Fancy me, you hear, my boy? I was never expect you to find you in the company of evolution of Count. Wherever is his agent? I might ask you the same. Does the pendulary son of the House of Forte intend to upstage his betters? Why, Lord? You ruined me. Rest assured that I meant only to spare you from the potential encounter. Prevalence of information in these parts are inevitably sharper than they let on. If they judge you to be less knowledgeable about your surroundings, they will not hesitate to take advantage. Any help from a self-indulgent crippling that I have asked for you. But I may ask, oh boy, what brings you here to the jewel of the desert with the good count at your side? What matters of information, pray tell, were you hoping to glean from our friend Wen? Well, France is looking to stimulate commerce and trade the firmament. Well, why didn't you come to me sooner? Do you think so little of your comrade? I'll explain. My dear brother suggested that I might employ my considerable skills mingling among the upper crust more. Shall I say, product ends? After all, social gathering as our prime opportunity for overhearing choice tidbits of rumor and gossip. That don't point at I have acquainted myself with no small end of the prestigious merchants and traders, including many who I believe would be most amenable to this idea of expanding their operation. I dare say there are more than a few of them have most fetching daughters as well. At any rate, you will need trouble no further. I will reach out to the parties in question and make the necessary arrangements. In return, I ask you to convince Lord Farho to put in a good word with the lovely Lady Annette on my behalf. I fair enough exchange it. I will see it to that Lord Emmanuel focused on the task at hand and does not let his emotions lead him into any such disadvantage agreement. We shall be in touch. Boy, I do believe there is a banquet. I should be attending. I suppose even Farper can serve a purpose on rare occasions. Well, needless to say, I could have handled the negotiation just as well without that fool meddling. On the bright side, we take a long last our leave of this blasted desert, Lord friend. I was at some tavern with Quicksand. Let us tell me deed is done and I'll be on my way. So coming to a place like this, I can help but look around. But in 20 years after finished from never faced ambush by pirates, time to time I really wish to be right in the gal somewhere, that someone resembles and be a sight of making difference around the limbs. On my part, I fear the boy is long dead. After all, I know came to age, Kenan. His knack for befriending influential personages never ceased to amaze me. I was about to comment on how impressed I was to see his motivation. I said, at any rate, I fear he has done a great service. And with that young heart, I decided to keep him honest. I dare say we have a little. I must thank you for your effort. If you had not let the fight down manager, you might be so. I must humbly ask that you lend your precious skills to our next destination. Are you ready to take the road again? Our destination awaits us. So if you're true to your partner, the den of happiness, you are even more fool than I thought. Believe him. When I say I will bear no love for barbarous outlaws, I said all accounts have changed much in the years since Admiral Boris rose to power. I have spoken to my son's disappearance to you in the past, have not? If by any chance you may have forgotten, it was the most accursed who took him from me, and for that I will never forgive them. It has been 20 years, and he was a boy with great promise, possessed of the curious mind and burning desire to see the world. Then a murderous band of sea reavers raided his vessel, and just like that he was gone. This day the rumors reach my ear that he rots in a galley deep beneath the city, or that something resembles him as his father. I want to believe he still lives somewhere, but there is only so much. I must not trust a pirate half as far as I could throw him. They will scourge over the realm and my house. I will not. You have my most heartfelt sympathy for your loss of your son. Do you wish to open the wounds of your Pray return to Ishkan ahead of us. I shall handle my from here. I will accompany you, regardless of what happened, and precisely because of it, I will not shirk my duties as a lord of House Durin. I will march into the wretched hive of murder and villainy, and seize from it a new age of prosperity from the house, and do retribution for all. That's what you wish, my lord? Let's on our way. Preliminary research has led us to conclude that the area known as Burka Hall, a stone's throw from the airship landing, is suitable. The most fascinating must take note. Yes, my companies and I hail from Ishtar, and you have come to discuss matters of trade. Then you most definitely come at the right place. Any inquiries you may have regarding duties, traffic, goods, and what have you, I have one of fellow assessor. We seek introduction where from your nation to our own homeland, where we believe you are able to recommend us to a trader. Of course, in that case, you want to talk to one of the great pirate powers here in town. Pirates? Ah yes, since the signing of the Galadian Order, they are more of an official sanctioned agency raiding the Guardians at the Admiral's behest, taking part in honest trade and the like. Less that much upset the sanguine sirens and the krakens. The bloody executioner are a whole other matter, so I recommend you limit any dealing negotiations you like partaking in the former two. I reckon sanguine sirens would be a good place to start, as they're known to be a bit more welcome to outsiders like yourself. You'll find them over in the taverns as missing members if you're up for a parley. Yes, I do believe I heard enough. Thank you for your time. I can scarce believe it has come to this, but I suppose we have no recourse. Well, I trust you know the way to... Don't forget to report your imports and exports. Okay, otherwise, we claim what's due one way or that hot pirate lady. Why is this living a pirate? But I will not back down from the challenge. Watch close, friend. Let me show you how to deal with it. Do you have reservations, sir? I do not. I've come to Ishka to discuss a matter of trade with her, the captain of the esteemed Sanguine Siren. As I was told, I might find her here. You were you? Why, yes, I suppose you might make yourself comfortable. And I'll go let the captain know what she's got a new visitor. State your worth business quick, and you best hope it's worth my while. Else the Marina Siren see you gutted and sleeping with the fishy before you. Pray stay your hand, lady. I mean only to consult with you on the potential business proposition that might prove most beneficial. I hail from the nation of Ishkar, and I do believe that your fine wares will be most highly sought after in our nation. Ishgard. You must be daft to think any pirates might would have even half a mind to set one foot in that bleeding snow-soaked wasteland. You must have me confused with a puffy-shirted captain of the Kraken or someone else who has it more swagger than sense. Now get off my sight before I shall take my leave and seek out these Krakens from who you speak. Thank you for your kindness and wish you and your sons all. I said get out of my way for 3 minutes. Why does that self-righteous face of yours seem so bloody familiar? Never mind, I have bigger fish to catch. Now be gone from here and you'll be joining them. If I were you, I'd take the advice to heart. You'll find the Krakens at the 7th stage. Just past it here and beyond the drowning wench. I do hope your parley there proves more fruitful. The sun stretched his appearance at once. I can only imagine the complex emotion the Count must be feeling. Let us start left. The 7th stage. Who would I pursue the averse? Pardon me, my good lady. I am Stella Halston. I have traveled to the fair nation of Ishkar. Might you, if any of your colleagues purchase, be interested in selling your fine spices in my homeland? I can assure you many of my countrymen would be willing to pay a handsome price for them. Apologies, Mr. My policy. We are not entering into partnership with parties of the Holy See at this time. No parties of the Holy See? What nonsense is? What I mean to say is, we are prepared to make arrangements most appetizing to you, as appetizing as a salted harbor herring, one might say. With our astrologers have desired a method to observe one first location, regardless of the season. A technique which I do believe is the most fascinating. Think the old man will be willing to reveal a treasured house secret to outsiders, dastardly, despicable pirates no less. Perhaps there is hope for Ishgard yet. Pray excuse me for a moment. Up to bid our first travel as I say I'll convey the message. Forgive me for my Appa says he will entertain your proposition, but on one condition. He will only speak to the adventurer. I have no choice, man. I have done little to deserve your charity, but I will ask you this one favor. My trust. Come this way. Seconds are waste. Okay. One more thing. You are by no means to speak his name or describe his face to anyone from Ishtar, or he will personally have your key hauled. I'm just gonna do it. That. My associates have apprised me of the situation. Though this delegation from the sea wishes to establish a relationship with us today, this garden consumed only with their petty war, living out their days in that gloomy, frigid land, devoid of passion or imagination. Just thinking back to their days in that miserable place is nothing. But with the war's end, it would appear that a new wind blows in my homeland. Why, I'm not so naive to assume that they have left their past entirely behind. I would trust that the sea desires the change, as well as that of a man who has come to me on the behalf of his besides. I would not hurt to be owed a debt of gratitude by one of Eorzea's greatest heroes. Document. If you give me the option to literally sell you, I will. Union consists of the form trade between the Krakens and the House Demo of Ishgard. It is in Gerald's name and marked with the official seal who authorized the transaction. I would appreciate it if you deliver to me the account on my behalf. Captain, let us be thankful for the adventurer showing up when he did. If that man had forced his way to my office, I should have seen what he might have instituted. The stranger, for long years, the mere sight of the man filled me with loathing. But seeing it again now, I have only that odd sense of himself. Yet I do not entertain the thought of doing anything more. It would only serve to undo all I have accomplished. No, I have no mind to give up my freedom for whatever. I might gain it in its place. Yes, it would. Of your efforts. Will not dare to hope to achieve. However, did you mention? I thought if you gave me an option to sell that, I would have. Anyway, I have a confidence just by fitting a role of the date of the finest goods. Oh. Thank you once more. Show me your tireless efforts. Our mission has been successfully beyond as you expected. And your less, and I do believe it's the last time we return home. The corporation. Speaking of which, be giving considerable thoughts as to how we might best organize our but as you might imagine, if I spare a moment. In that case, let us each attend to all matters and give me back. It was going on way longer than I thought it would. The short walk from here to the Featherfall Commercial District. Allow me to show you the way. Yes, show me the way, my brother. I must give credit where credit is due, Lord Francis. It's almost beginning to look halfway after plans. I was wondering if you would come home. There it is. Oh, it's the homies. I know only two of you. There's all this. Foreigners are private for us now. Well, if you have of what I heard of, it would appear that your exhaustion abroad has proved most fruitful. This backs up for designation as the official gathering ground for the restoration. But due to the sport of potential leaders, I doubt we will have recently necessary approving of the funding. You do Ishkar a great service, Francel. As your sister, I could not be more proud. This silly, flatter me over too much. I could not have hoped to accomplish every fraction without the expertise of the influence of this esteemed companion. Of that I have no time left. As you so selflessly served Ishkar during the war, you go above beyond in the era of peace. I have not a word to express gratitude. My company, Lord Chairman, pray accept my humble gratitude for accompanying my impulsive brother in this travel, for opening his horizons to the vast expanse. I hope the boy gains something. We are not here to simply carry your praise. No, we are hoping that we might lend our aid to the efforts of him. Indeed, after all, it would not be good to flow in one direction while the coin flows the other. Allow me to be more direct. Stefan has recently opened a new branch of Featherfall. In the mind to spend some time there myself, overseeing preparing maintenance order, putting wares on display for potential sales of Barth. You know, Orl and I have discussed the matter of length, and we expect traders. Far off, I'd show great interest in the abundant nature of the harvested. No words, your assistance. This reconstruction effort would mean a world to me. And Dora's mad mistress. Art and Brenna as heretics by the highborn and the common folk alike. Forced to suffer the loss of kin, friends, and loved ones alike over the years of a bloody war. Still they forge ahead and build a brighter future for our nation. For so long I thought them to be earnest and evil for their own good. But perhaps the artless hopes of enthusiasm is precisely what Ishkar needs at this new age. But that my own son could be here as well, he too could be among those leading efforts to transform our society. I am most certain that ever that he is somewhere in this world, I do great things in his own right. Perhaps one day he will return, and perhaps not. Either way, the decision is his alone to make. So long I have clung to the past, fearing that there was no place for me in this new age of open enlightenment and change. But the truth is clear now, this new world we live in, we must all adapt or be left behind. It will not be easy, but it'll be all worth it. And the passionate people, young men and women around me will show you the way. My sincerest apologies. Lord Shaman, it seems my sibling Rancel, oh wait, Lord Charlemagne, it seems my siblings I got somewhere carried conversation. If you are ready, it would be my pleasure. Therefore, okay. I probably should like to say their names again. Charlemagne, the reindeer, I don't know. Oh, it's some more. Lord Charlemagne, over here. I did not imagine that your preparation was proceeding so briskly. One might wonder if there are proceedings so hasty, yet the same one cannot be. They are too kind, but I'm pleased to say that the fall market are now open. Truly we have still my associate Alan Ishkar, the invasion who have been an effort on the behalf. Without all of you, our lofty dreams to rebuild the firmament would have gone on. I will not forget your kindness and generous investment. It is I who owe you things. Traveling with you has done much to open my eyes. I'm not too prideful to admit it. Charlemagne the Reindeer. I might be butchering the Reindeer. Yeah, some of the names are really. Lalafell names are funny. Like one of the Lalafell's name is like Alegi Adalegi. Because Lalafell's names are rhyming. Nanamo Unamo. Pippin Telepip. I might be getting his name wrong. Pippin. If I hope to lead the reindeer into a new age of prosperity, there is much I must about the world of Ishkaran. And then you have Rowan names who are basically anything they want to be. In return to helping, allow me to offer you some of a company much hereafter. At rest until the Lord to come. Thank you, my lord. Pray rest assured me that no tension shirking my duties. As for more and more people flock to hawk their wares, my abilities manage to fare. Indeed, I suspect that you are up to task. Still, you should find yourself over your head. I do not hesitate to call upon the House of Durandare. And with that, I should be off. Oh fuck, I actually sped right now. I should be getting back. I actually would not have minded if the lad remained with us. Well, in any event, the matter I would discuss is if you're not otherwise I should. Gave me some Ishgardian tea. Ooh, that looks really good. I wonder if they have some like cooking stuff or like. That looks so good. I wonder if they have some like Ishgardian cuisine. These are good. There's another, I believe. Oh my god, how long is this? I might be in for a long time. And I expect it was going to tell me how. Perhaps I've summarized a bit too of Lord Francis, I'll be on a additional delegation Thursday, successful as returning home. I have not pondered on many matters. Long has across different for Ishmael has new era, it changes my mind. The house of Dorinda adapted best. I think this might be a very long quest. The nation that would most likely with the house of Dorinda style nation spread from every guardian is able to benefit and they would say your journey has you see the wholehearted agree with your noble end. My knights will be searching, served and power and no longer needed. Very good. I will ask if you be carrying out this long overdue decision, which fortunately remains. It is not suffice physically to fill nor our stress truly prosper. I also intend to house our men complete to the airships. Will forever have our gods. Any, we will believe that the pilots and machinists in far greater numbers we have. Now there are many who will benefit from recruit these into the best of For this, I would enlist service and knowledge of I do believe it is knows that airship has been out. Admiral was busy because he is battle testing, he was made a pilot who satisfied. That's his fault. Do not let his youth fool you. He was knowledge of reliable twin agent that said there is rub, but I've seen this side nor hair everywhere. He suffered wounds. I've heard rumors that he has fallen on hard times. And he is such man of eager to live in the boom these days. It is the most unfortunate situation, but one does not reflect alone on how you must do right by the brave so you would. I ask you to take enough to serve and rely on my offer. I have already drawn up a contract that you might deliver to me. I would approach the man directly, but our forces have three nations have convinced me that I have something to negotiate with. There are other who is do me a favor. This might be a long one. I might have to separate the parts. This is an experience, that's all that matters. I might do it up until I get to enough to do the paladin. Then I'll take my leave. You have come to the reason that that night was lost that. The stairs are here true, but the future is open. And so we've the truth about the firmament. Okay. Why did you be so kind as the courage, just find a way to row it. I don't know how, it's not that loud. Let me see, that should do it, I think. The Savior of... It is an honor to meet, the pleasure indeed to be happen. There's a matter regarding... I was hoping to consult with the esteemed adventurers yourself. I am... and Lord Francis has asked me to see over the paper. I think there is no small effort to behold countless adventurous tradesmen and laborers from across the areas I have chosen. The Harfors and completed. We have finally placed them all. That is just one rub. We must, at least thus far, lack the facility to serve a role of adventurous guild that one might other. The role which will become increasingly vital as our... Oh my, I'm literally rebuilding a city. Yeah. Ouch. I swear to God, the cables. And I decided to devote this building with example for a purpose. I'm rather embarrassment to admit it, but I am not clearly clear on precisely what manner of business is to conduct with these guilds. And in turn, with purpose. Try to enlighten me, friend. What would you say that the... Yeah. So the prime purpose of Adventure Guild. Yes, the adventurers will render assistance and adventure swiftly. And yes, there certainly stands the reason that they need to dedicate the venue that we have petitions for townsfolk. Thank you, my friend. The insight you have shared with me will no doubt prove invaluable information. There is a venue about that which serves all adventurers in the firmament and makes me feel... If you can impose upon one last thing, I might be willing to speak with some of the peers here in Firmament to see what you could find any generous those two who would be willing to stop by. After all, an adventurers guild without adventure is hardly worth the name. My friend, I have no doubt that the savior of Ishkar and a fellow adventurer would your world would renovate with. Oh my god, I might have to end stream like as soon as I get enough the assistance or something. I would encourage you to consult one of my colleagues. I fear I don't a new gathering place will open to a firmament. And why is this wonderful news indeed? I recoil the limbs to learn new trades. And I must admit, I must find feeling touching homesick, and I was hoping that there might be a place where I can imagine travelers and hear the latest tales. And that wasn't. Yeah. Oh wow, that is a chunky cat. This is for a creature of an old cunning versus buzzer. Whatever to get a paws on such garb. I'll call it dragonfly. Another one is speaks. Oh, feeling fans. What journey of end of the realm during in all parts. These creatures are appreciated with fluffy balls and animated cuteness that they are. Now let us return to the topic of the garb. The wings with the did you know that It's said that no one ever said the guard removed. The unfortunate soul who has made an attempt has made an attempt issue. And in that sense, I might as well said that the Caps is not a god at all, rather an extension of the creature's form. Only that might be said. But I proclaim loudly with likewise, I would just that those are heavily layered silks of evidence that the Gallica has adapted to chilly environments. Furthermore, the creature's belly would seem to be proof that it is a dining on the most beast. Did you mean that someone has been feeding this creature? And this surprised you? I can't tell if that's a hat or an actual cat. Waiting for it to blink. Just in the gaze of innocence, I see how it tail flicks and it. Behold how it goes about its business until it burned by the. There's no animal can be more delighted than the gilly cat that frolics in the air above their heads. To see what. Why I'm simply overwhelmed with the sheer force of it. Oh, I can't along. I simply must behold the creature up close. I must embrace it, caress its fur. And those of us know, I tell him over and over that it's a cute little kitty. Yes, it is. I think I came off a bit too strong in any event. Perhaps chasing out of Wednesday is not the wisest course of action. Meh. I suppose we have no choice. I swore oath to residents and firmament safe. Let us exercise due caution though. Many of them. With all the commotion, quite all of you, I would scare them away. So, you're the master of the creature, I presume. Master, how I simply took being one of them, and as they fend off the fangs of loneliness, they come by far home. Before I knew it, you can see for yourself. I'm not unsympathetic to your situation, my friend. We simply cannot allow these creatures to run rampant around Philva. All their cuteness and fluffiness to be damned. They're monsters after all. All I know is there is none of them do any harm. They give me a snack and they curl right next to you. Let them cuddle you and nuzzle their way. How generous of giving is that? Hey, tell me, friend, just how does it feel to? For a soft smooth, their nose is toasty and warm, and their cute little whiskers tickle your face. It gives off the most delightful aroma and akin to the freshly washed, perhaps closer to bare right of the oven. They smoke. However, really, there's no creature so heavily as the cat. Here. At any rate, I have come in contact with a fisherman of finding proper homes for these creatures as soon as I can possibly get. Surely you can agree to deserve much. Really, they seem to pose no danger, and their population seems under control. I suppose I can overlook this matter this time. But by forward, their situation changed. The creature proves the threat. We will not hesitate to use force when necessary, isn't it? Me, John and Jody. Why did you not say any sooner? It would be a pleasure to have both honor. Come, my furry friend, let us spread the love of things feeling it. So you're gonna give me one of them as a minion? Which? Ah, I see the adventurer. I do believe we speak before. After all, I was asking for townspeople if there's anything I can do for you. Amazing, I've never seen that. The fashion old catching wares out of them. I do believe we could earn a good coin here. My brother and I, the traders around here, have set up this shop here in Firmament, but we've come to pursue their wares. What's more, Mother was kind enough to give us some extra goods to buy ourselves a special treat. There's most luscious, exotic food that I've caught, but sadly it's just too expensive still. We don't have to sell it. Well, why don't you just earn it? That's what we do, and we make all sorts of things and sell goods. Why don't you all consider one? If you're hunting for guild, can we come with? What kind of deal? A tough negotiator. I see. Here's the story. I am a hunter from the Dwarvian Forelands, and a pretty good one. I was on my way back to the wild after dropping off my chocobo. That's when it hit me. It's bleeding cold out there, and I cooked myself a new overcoat. I've been looking for anything fancy, mind you. If it keeps me warm and toasty in the blistering snow and wind, that's plenty fine for me. Reckon any of you young ones would be able to help a hunter out? Yeah, bro, you what? Hope you out the finest coat you've ever seen before. Here, I've been looking around the markets for a while, so you can just bring me on back, whatever. Looks like we have a job to do. It's off to Rollin Fields for me too. Proceeding the Neely Tool, perhaps. Good to give me some cloth. We'll have our work we need. Let's get back here, everyone. Let's do the work. Oh, it's him again. He's back. Would reckon someone like you had more important matters on your plate than tending to children, though I suppose I'm not the one to talk, Andrew. I imagine you've been going along seeing what you don't get themselves into trouble. What kind of fabric do you think the beast in overcoat? Joshua and I really don't know how weaving. If you're a hero of Ishgard, then I'm glad you know it. I've been trying to catch out a lad. Tell me what kind of friend you need. This old Colin has a thing just for you. After you. What can I do? The hunter we met in the market has hired us to make him an overcoat. Do you have a needle or thread? I just can't let you have it. Why, if you but all of me see that I'm perfectly. So here, who might I approach? Be careful with them. Alan, why? Alright. Just pull it out. Dirty woman fits. Oh yeah, the different one. I was sorry, I thought you were missing. I mistook you for someone. I reckon this should be over. Actually, here's. That's just all about all. You did all the work. It seemed only fit. Together, what our mothers gave us, we have enough to buy our fruit. Speaking of mother, we best head back. Well, you're welcome to visit anytime. Alright. You have him. Be able to help out. Oh, ain't nothing to sneeze at. I reckon the friendship you've made today. But I got just a thing to cheer you up. How about you like to take a baby chunk off my hand? I hatched it from egg, one of the best birds. I've been having the damnedest time trying to train it in life, and so I thought it would be a new family. Mother? Very much. When you've earned it, you can buy food and everything. The little one are going to over the moon. Let's go in too. He adores Chuck. Come on. Just looking at you and those children, it calls a mind that I came upon you in your cell. A tough thought about how time flies. Speaking of flying, it best be on. I got a chocobo to deliver and then get back to the road. 100 eyes have been gravely wounded. They were wolves and he has fought them off at the best he could by the you have seen him earlier. He might be turned away at a bit of fetch. This time, handle one last second. Brave. Dig it up. I won't make up for the sworn brothers, but perhaps I'll go first. What else is done to the boy? Ain't hardly defensible, no matter what he says. What have you done? Huh? But this be, why would 100-eyed lie to us? At best, I'll have answers. Be done. Papashan. We must have his words. Or himself. What the lies? What is this all? Just a game to you? What lies? I have my reasons, as you will soon learn. That's a very odd way of apologizing. I suggest you try again. I'm sorry for deceiving you, Constantine. Faking your death? Constructing an elaborate scenario for me to find your armor? To be honest, I'm astonished as I am offended. How could you have possibly orchestrated everything so perfectly? It doesn't matter how I did it. What matters is why I did it. Oathkeeper is but a sword. Constraint. True oaths are not forged in steel. They are sworn by heart. To merely reclaim the sword will not suffice. It must be won by a worthy paladin. Only then it will be by order by restoring to its former glory. I understand. Why not simply teach me the ways as you said you would? A sultan may move a man, the master may instruct his pupil, but only when that pupil moves himself can he become a paladin. That said, I did not account. Master promised that as we discussed. Very well. Mine is evil. The paladins we embody their will. Keeping the oath, they've grown stronger and more dominant. In the presence of a particular pure soul, others may have been compelled to yield. But what two souls cannot reconcile is when one can establish dominance, it can spell disaster. This seems awfully inconvenient. You have no idea. As the disordance between two souls grows, the aether builds, and the soul grows unstable. Their souls look as though they were fit to burst into ether. Wait. You don't mean to say that their souls will be destroyed, do you? You fight, your souls demand it. The two cannot coexist as you are. One must rise above a... That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Your paladins, defenders of the weak and needy. What madness is that we must face each other in battle? But if there's no... I will not renounce my oath. I will become a paladin I was destined to be. And if that means that we must fight, then so be it. Alright. See what you got. That's the second time fighting Master. I suppose we are taking... Well... I hope you are. Now you're fully armored. Come, brother. At least I wasn't there. No constraint. Nothing can be further from the truth. You are fought from honor. Don't be ashamed. A trick and deception that might. The truth. What the whole truth? Figured it out. Have you? You still have the soul I left you from at the 100 those? What? Oh yes, here. The soul belonged to the first captain Soulsword, the paladin who wanted shine to as they did, but now both lost their luster. That's one that everything I've done that I've made you all. It's simple. Wait, no, it's not. It's nearly as complicated. What of your soul? The one that you gave when we first met. I yet have it. Oh, take it and restore the Oathkeeper's light to your own. Once a man has left the soul sword, he cannot return. My soul will no longer suffice. All I can do is show another way. Ask that he do the same for his brothers and sisters. He does not yet stand above all others. Not until he has bested me. Draw your sword. The time has come. Alright, let's see what you got. Oh, immediately come after me. Ah! Man, you weren't doing any damage to me. I'm sorry, but you were not doing any damage to me. Yeah, the samurai guy would win more of a fight than you. Long last, a paladin who can make it shine again. Me. You're still upon the first Kenan sword, still under the wrath by the minions. For years I've sought to reclaim it, to redeem myself. Paladins swear allegiance to the Sultanate. The Paladin shall be Lord and Shield of the Sultanate. The Paladins defend the people of the realm. 30 years I have inspired those ideals. 30 years I try to live up to the example by the founder. So revered that his very soul crystal should be set in them. For those legendary captains, the sword should shimmer with such brilliance that night would be as day. Yet, for the 30 years I wore, it shined for me once, but once. That was before it was taken from me. Before I foresaw my oaths, should I reclaim it. Though all the trial and tribulation, you remain true to yourself and to your Isaiah. You continue to be an inspiration to Come, take up Oathkeeper, raise it aloft and let it shine forth as a beacon of light. You were already my first choice. Constraint was insensitive motivation, though in the end he proved himself to be so much more. You're a right bastard. You know that. Doing all this just to make a bloody sword shine? Praise heaven that I found a proper mentor. Well, I may not be chosen one, but I'm still a free paladin. This is the path I've chosen, and I'm on it, and I will stay. Well said. It's not due for you to be so easily discouraged. I leave matters here in your capable hands. Done it again. Oathkeeper may not shine for me as it did for you. Perhaps it's time it will. But every should I not be, I will not lose my heart, for Paladin's virtue is not in the radiance of his blade, but in the righteousness of his action. But what we decide to do every day, we will be a good man. Oathkeeper has returned to the Soul Sword. Will you not return to us as well? As a friend and ally perhaps, but not as a brother. Some bonds once broken cannot be mended. I think for all you've done. How is it strange that we must turn to a free paladin rather than one of our own to show us the way? I suppose it's not the first time, is it? never meant to be answered. Simply deal with it. You still need to ask how I planned it all? You wouldn't believe me anyway. That's it, you're leaving. Old beckons. Besides, I have nothing left to teach you. And I wish you on a journey and pray that you find your happiness. I'm coming back, you know. There's an awful lot of work to be done in Falcon's Nest. And I did make a promise to 100 Eyes. Oh, and I shall see you when you return. Adventure, Mia. It's a pleasure. I was warning you, next time we cross space, I mean to win. Fare thee well. Yeah, you didn't really hold up in much of a fighter. You win now, boss. Yeah, it was not like that samurai fight. Oh god, that samurai fight was intense. This concludes the Final Fantasy Heavensward. In order to undertake the next one, you must first meet Far Edge of Fate.